What's up, guys? Can you guys hear me properly? Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, bro? How you guys doing? We missed last week's webinar, but it's all good. We're back this week. We're gonna be doing a little bit better.
What it is, bro?
Okay, we're good, guys. All right. All right. How you guys doing? How's your guys' weekend going?
All good, bro.
All right, man. That's how we like it, right?
Yep.
All right. All right. So, uh, this week's webinar, technically what we have planned for now, or what we had planned, was simply doing, on demand live trading, right? But the main issue then becomes, right, is literally on demand. You can't use, guess what? Hotkeys. So that's kind of a little bit of different than, what it would make live trading like, because with me, it's literally, right, I'm not going to lie, about 50, 60% of my trading is based on my hotkeys and, being able to get into trades very fast, very quickly by using hotkeys, right? So one of the big issues is that, other than that, you would have your options set up something like how I have right now, right? Having to have the call and the put on one side, right? Or you can have, two of these things differently, right? Does that make sense to everybody? It kind of sucks that we're not going to be able to do that. Like, honestly, but it is what it is because you can't do anything about it. And the fact that you can't use hotkeys on on demand, which literally is what kind of destroys the whole situation of, right, being able to live trade and do all of that stuff.
How, can you show us how you would go about setting up the hotkey?
I would, but then it's going to reveal my account. Give me 1 second then. I would have to share my, give me 1 second. Let me stop sharing first, then go into the hotkeys. I'll show you guys how to set up the hotkeys. I mean, honestly, don't even need it, right? And as you guys know right now, like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have the full setup of, how I usually have the full setup, where I have, all my screens connected. I'm only working off of one laptop right now. That's why, that's why it's a little bit, it's getting a little bit hard to kind of, do all of this stuff. But
How many monitors do you trade with?
right now, I usually have like 3 or 4,
Three
actually.
or four.
Yeah,
Okay,
you know.
nice,
I mean, including, the laptop that I use, it's like, 4. So usually it's
nice.
just 3. It's just, because with monitors, the one big thing is that there's not enough monitors ever. So you can just always, right, kind of keep
Yeah,
going, right? So one of those big things is that, so, I kind of capped myself at a certain situation where, it's like there's no point of me doing it, right? Well, one of the big things of, understanding options, guys, is, just to show you guys, go into the trade tab, all product, right? And we put these option contracts. Let this load here. Okay. You know, okay. What are we looking at? Zoom, right? let's say we put these calls. We're going to hide all of this charts. So we sent the Zoom calls here. As you guys know, one of the biggest things you want to kind of pay attention to, guys, is this, right? On wallet trading options with even hotkeys, or doesn't matter what, or if you're looking at active trader in general, right? Because active trader, right, the position summary doesn't really work really good on TOS. It's better to just have that off, and you can just kind of look at the position summary here, right? And then you can see how many positions that you have of those contracts. So I have no clue why it's not going through. But see, this is the thing with the whole on demand thing, right? The situation of it doesn't really work too good, and there's no point of doing it. Where we would have done it the first day, wouldn't have
What
been a big issue
what
of doing
if you
this.
don't use I'm sorry to cut you off.
Nope,
What
of
if you
course.
don't use on demand and you use the paper trading account? Is it still
Yeah,
the same
but
thing?
then the same situation. How do you get the real time data?
Oh yeah,
You
obviously.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for the
Yeah.
past, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
So, and look, right, the whole situation of this doesn't work properly either. So that is the big reason why we didn't do the Roku puts. Let me see if these are the right calls.
So you recommend using hotkeys to trade faster so you can buy and sell instantly without having to go around
No,
every
I
day.
don't recommend you guys using hotkeys in general. It's just everybody wants to jump on the wave that, I do it, but they don't understand the fact that I've been doing this for so long. Being honest with you guys, if you
But
guys really
if you're
want me to
doing
be
it,
honest, it's just very easy to be like, okay, this guy does this, let me go follow him. But the issue is, if you try to use hotkeys now, what's going to happen is it's going to play with your psychology, and it's going to play with your discipline, which is going to make you, more jittery on the computer, which is not good in general, first of all. And then the second situation is it's not really good to kind of have that kind of access where you're able to go in and out of accounts, or trades very fast, because what that does is that builds a bad habit of taking as many trades as you want, because it's so easy to just click buttons on your computer, because it, in general, hotkeys just make everything quicker. So if everything is quicker, we're not trying to look for everything quicker, we're trying to see everything better, right?
I look at it a couple ways. One, there's been numerous times where I've tried to buy in, but I've bought in like just a
Late.
couple seconds late, but it was like $1, $2 difference. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
That I missed out on. And then another way I'm looking at it is like you're a professional trader, and if you use that strategy,
Yeah, of
then clearly you're using it for a reason, and I want to try
course,
to implement that. So
of course. But then the big issue, right, bro, in that is, the only thing is, right, is just simple as, there's a point where you want to use it, right? Like you
yeah,
can't just be out there and using it when don't have everything down. Because like the only thing
yeah,
is, right, like I try to protect everybody that's new, or somebody that doesn't have a crazy big account, or just in general, like anybody that's hasn't been trading for more than a year, honestly, don't even touch hotkeys, because
yes,
what's gonna
understood.
it just builds bad habits. Because personally, I ended up doing, when I first ended up starting hotkeys, uh, I wasn't a profitable trader. And you know what that did to me? That basically made me into even worse of a trader, because guess what? It was just so easy to just click a button to buy. It just is so easy to just, click two buttons on your screen to sell, right? That it just made it where it was so easy access that you just kept trading and trading. And you would, at the end of the day, you would have, 100 plus trades that would be, with commissions, and you would be down a lot of money. So a lot of the situation that you guys don't have to deal with, but like even now, right? You guys don't have to worry about commission, right? Which is a good thing. But back then when I was trading, I had to worry about commissions. I had to worry about a lot of the other things, right? So
Yes.
that's the reason. It's just, I'm trying to protect like some of the newer, people in general, because as much as it seems like that, it's working for me, yeah, it is. You should get on it too, of course, right? Hockeys make it way faster to kind of execute the orders, because in general, right, like being able to kind of click, right, each, right, like putting an order out there like that, or canceling it. Why not just hit Control C like that? You see how fast that was a cancel? You see how
Yeah.
fast that buy was? You see how fast that limit sell was? Like all of that situation, right, is what kind of makes it where, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? Makes everything faster, right? Instead of me being able to kind of, guess what, trying to find the bid and the ask when the stock is actually moving up and down very fast, right? To look at the active trader, or just go market, or just go the bid, or actually having the bid and the ask buttons there, right? Instead of having all of that stuff, I think it's a little bit easier to kind of just use your hotkeys to get in and get out of trades, because it builds a certain type of rhythm that you want to keep, right, in trading. But then there's the issue of, right, when you should use it. And I think personally, unless you're a profitable trader, don't even look into hotkeys, because the second big topic that we're going to have to talk about now, instead of doing the live trading, which we would have done, which we can still do, but then the same thing is, it's going to be way slower and it's not going to be the same result. So what's the point, right? Like already we're looking at the back tested data, which means we already know what's going on. So it's not going to be hard for me to kind of just buy calls and buy puts and just show you guys that you can make money in trading, which we all already know, right? We all already
Yeah.
know that we're going to make money in trading. That's why we are here, right? Uh, but the biggest thing is right. The second biggest thing that we wanted to talk about was the confidence, right? Being confident in trades versus taking trades and then having the confidence of holding or not. How long you been? I would say, Ricardo, different. I think it's more like, not when can you call yourself profitable. I believe it's just going to be like, you'll know, even if you have like, sometimes you can have, you know 2 days out of the week profitable, and then, right, lose 3 days out of the week. But then of course your small losses are so small that you're still profitable, right? Like you could still be a good trader like that. But the only issue is, it's just like, you'll know when you've made it, honestly. You'll know that you've got it now, that you understand the market, and that's it. That's literally the point that where you should be at. uh, in the point where you're like, yeah, I make more money than I lose, which means that I'm a profitable trader. That basically means now I need to start to understand in the scaling aspect of it, right? Like just like a business, right? Growing of it. You can't really just go and try to grow a business to $100 million sales when you first start out, right? Because you don't have the capital, you don't have the investment or anything, right? You really don't have nothing. So you have to start slowly, but then, once you're at a point where you're doing like $10 million worth of sales, then you can start to look how to grow that $10 million business, right, into a $20 million business, or 25 million, right? 50, and then 100, right? And then maybe 150, then 200, right? So it goes by levels. It doesn't just go by, anything just like going from one to two. When do you start scaling in or out of trades? Yeah, scaling, I mean, scaling in and out of trades, is honestly pretty easy. Like I was gonna show you guys that. That's literally exactly why we had the on demand thing planned, and I was gonna actually do that and show you guys how, and like let's say for instance, right? Let's actually go a little bit deeper into this, because this is something what I wanted to talk about too. That was something that's kind of important that we should be talking about. So let me move the chat here. A little bit less screen I'm working with today, only a laptop, but still, it is what it is. But let's say our target on Zoom was what, guys? Right? If you guys know, we had the target of 224, literally Friday, right, on Zoom. Uh, and let's say we are long from the 418s, 420s, like we were, right? So the one thing is, right, there's two things that go into making you into a good trader, right? One of them is understanding why you're in the trade. And then the second thing is understanding where you need to get out, right? So on Friday, very bad on my part where I got out in the 424s when, even though, if you guys know from pre-market, I'll probably actually, will upload the pre-market live for Friday on the YouTube. So you guys can go check it out. But we talked about how if Zoom goes to the 424, we got the 428s next, and then we got the 430s, and then of course we got the 440s after that, and of course 450s, and levels after and after that. But main level was 424, and then the 428s, and then I believe it was the 430s, right? The whole number. On my part, it was pretty bad where I scaled out completely because, right, one of the things was it was a failed breakout Friday. It trapped a lot of people here, as you can see, right? And then it trapped people to the downside again because, like, first it trapped the people to the long side by making it seem like that it was going to fully, engulf this candle and literally go to the 200, break the 200 and head down lower because we had target to the downside as well if it would have break the 200, but it didn't. And it actually ended up reversing off the 50, right? Trapping people. Everybody that was short down here got trapped, and then they pushed it all the way up to our target. So, one of the big things is that, first of all, if you're taking this trade, right, on Zoom, if Zoom would have honestly broke down under the 200 EMA, there was a very low chance I personally would have shorted this thing, right? Because sometimes even in pre-market, we look at both sides where, we don't want to be too biased, but there's always that little bit of bias, right? Like you're more biased toward one way because it has to be like that. Because if you're 50-50, then you're not going to make anything because it'd be 50-50 all the time, right? So you have to be a little bit more biased toward a certain side that you're going to pick. Either you pick the long side or you pick the short side. So a little bit more long bias on Zoom. Why? Well, bad coronavirus news means good for the stock of Zoom, right? A lot of states, right, issuing right lockdowns, or right countries, Canada, right, big issue with Canada where they're literally going into lockdown, right? Some of the I think it was like Toronto area was doing that, but still, right? Different type of coronavirus news kind of comes in and it still affects your uh, markets because you're in the US, and if countries around the world are suffering, then that means that US can suffer as well, which means it will affect the market, which technically means for Zoom it's a good thing because a lot of people, when they study from home, they're going to use Zoom, right? They're going to use Roku, they're going to use Netflix, or some of these companies were a little bit more stronger side. So we were looking at Zoom to the upside. So one thing is, let's say we are long, right? Zoom right above 420, which we talked about, right? Zoom needs to hold above the 420s, right? If you guys pull up the chat, you'll see it in the chat. I can't even pull it up on the screen because I only have one screen and I've only literally sharing my thick or swim screen. So I would have to stop share and then show you guys the chat room. But look at yesterday's chat room and you'll see, right, where the alert was, right? Above 420s on Zoom, right? And to the upside. So that's one of those things. And then now the process of the trading actually becomes where, guess what? You're long in the 419s. How do you plan on scaling out? Because with options, there's the liquidity issue of, right? Let's say if there's less liquidity, right, in the options, right? Look how easily options drop and, go up and go down. Because look, if our option literally, guess what? Rips up like this, right? All the way up to, guess what? $22, right? And look how easily it drops from $22 all the way down to $12 too, right? So it goes both ways. It doesn't just go one way where options are, crazy in the fact where, yeah, they go up very quickly, but then they come down very quickly too. Look, that was almost a 50% retracement in, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and almost 7 candles. Just in literally 7 minutes, it retraced about 50% of its value, right? So, how do you kind of combat that, right? Well, you basically combat that by doing this, by looking at the bid and the ask. And let's say the Zoom stock, show you guys the stock of Zoom, right? Let's say the Zoom stock is running up toward your target now, right? Let's say the Zoom stock, right? You're long from the 418s. It starts running up toward your target. It's at 422 right now. What you then start doing is you start looking at, right? Your, guess what? Contracts, right? And then you start looking at your contract support and resistance, if they have any support and resistance, or, guess what? In general, looking at the delta of the stock, and then the delta of the options, comparing it to the stock, right? If 50-cent delta, right? The stock moves 4 points, options going to move almost 2 points. That basically means, right? Sometimes you get the extra momentum, you get 2.50 cents, you get $3. So what you start doing is when the stock runs up toward the 422, that's when you start putting your orders out there, right? You start putting your orders already out there, that if they get executed, you get executed and you're done on the day. And that's it, right? So confidence is a very big thing, because it brings you to step one too, right? If you go back to step one, let's say you take this trade to the long side, but you took it because you weren't fully confident, and you just took a bounce, right? You just took a 50 EMA bounce, because, James was talking about it, right? James had this little trouble that he was, talking to me about how, sometimes he takes these bounces and then he's not confident in holding them. Well, you shouldn't be taking the trade in the first place, right? if you're if you need to understand the confidence, like let's say, after you take the trade, then you have to, think about being confident in holding or not. If that's in your head, don't even take the trade. Any trade that I take, I'm always right, 100% confident, right? Either it's going to work out one thing, or either I'm going to end it up with a losing trade. And you guys have seen that in the chat room, done many, many times, right? I've lost two, right? But it usually is, once I've taken the trade and once I've gotten the bias in and once I'm already in the trade, then it doesn't matter, dude. It's more like me throwing out my keyboard. Honestly, I already have my orders in. I don't always just kind of, let's say if I take the 419 trade to the long side, I don't always just kind of put my orders out there on the 424, right? Right at the bat, because, guess what? That's my target. I'm just going to put my orders out there. What if you get a crazy squeeze candle like this, right? What if you get, crazy squeeze like this, and, if you would have waited another 5 minutes or so, you could have made a lot more money. So that's why you want to wait for the stock to tell you if it's actually running into resistance or it's actually not running into resistance. So when it's kind of running up toward your, guess what, price target, I really didn't see too much power in the stock, because, it started showing me a little bit of weakness up toward the 424. So I ended up taking it off. Simple, right? But guess what? It still ended up ripping up higher. So one of the things is, if you're taking a trade, make sure that you're fully confident in that trade. Don't even look at it afterward, because once you've taken the trade, then you're just looking at either a losing trade or either a winning trade. And if you try to correct that trade, or if you try to, kind of protect that trade where, guess what, you try to add at the bottom, or, you try to add while the stock is coming down, all you're doing literally is, guess what, chasing, or you're actually just kind of building those bad habits of, right, adding, which we don't even want to have. So once you're in a trade, make sure that you wanted that trade, that you were looking at that trade, right? That is the big reason why, once we go over a lot of stocks in pre-market live, right, we go over like almost 30 stocks sometimes, right? At the same time, you should already choose only one or two stocks that you're going to trade, just like how I do every day, because I can't choose more than honestly three stocks that I can, that I'm mainly looking at, because of options, right? So one of the big things is, if you're looking at some of the main stocks that you're looking at, and you already have a little bit of a bias, and you take that long trade, right? Then it doesn't matter, dude. Literally, even if that stock crashes and burn, you should already know where your mental stop is, and you should get out if it breaks under the 200 EMA. Simple, right?
So, yeah, we all
Because
got to do our own technical analysis. Yes, sir.
that too, you can rely on somebody else's technical analysis, but just the fact of, right, like we're just talking about the fact that if you take a trade and then you're like shaking and your fingers are shaking on the keyboard, that's not a good thing. That's literally what I'm kind of trying to highlight. We don't
Yeah.
want that, right? You should already be in that trade and be like, okay, this is my risk, this is my reward. If it hits my target, I get out. If it literally makes me get out, it makes me get out. What else? Move on.
Yeah,
right?
don't be playing with money that you can't afford to lose.
That too, right? Because that's a big,
I
big,
get
big
that.
thing that also kind of plays into the effect. So one of the big things is don't, right, like play with the money that you can't afford to lose. Or let's say you take a trade and then you're feeling jittery, right? Guess what, man? That wasn't a proper trade that you took then, because you're not confident in it. Either way, if you really look at it, what's the outcome, right? Right?
I
Even
think
if
that
you're
just
shaking, even if you are, like, guess what, worried about if it's going to work out, if it's not going to work out, or should you add or should you not, you're still going to have either a losing trade or a winning trade. You go to the same outcome either way. So one of those things is you can try to manage your trade. All that's going to do is if you've worked in a retail shop, or if you've worked in, any type of, you know, office space or a workspace, you understand how people try to micromanage other people, and it ends up kind of backfiring. That's literally what happens. If you try to micromanage your trades, guess what's going to happen, dude? It's going to make you more jittery, which is going to make you want to trade more, which is going to make you kind of get on that little high of buying and selling, which leads to then kind of, using hotkeys, which kind of adds to that jitteriness, which kind of builds those bad habits, and you end up trading 20 times a day, right? And guess what's happens, right? Simple reason of you end up losing money, right?
yeah.
So if it's the same outcome, dude, honestly, make sure that you're going into a trade, right, perfectly, and you're going into the trade, right, 100%, knowing that either it works or either it's a losing trade. Simple. And guess what? If it's a losing trade, dude, what else? Move on, right? I come back always all the time, right? So if you can learn something from that, that'd be the biggest lesson of, right? Like there's always the next opportunity, right? So you take that next opportunity, guess what? Maybe that's going to work out, maybe that's not going to work out. But where, a lot of beginner traders get, caught is that, guess what? They're short in Zoom, right? They get short down here because it seems like it's forming a bear flag, and it seems like it's going toward the 200, right? Seems like a very easy trade, but then guess what? They squeeze you out. Then guess what? They add on there, right? Long target. They think that, because the stock has moved up so much, right? From literally 418 all the way up to 424, there must be a pullback to the 420, right? So guess what happens? They end up shorting more here, then you short more there, and then guess what? You blow up your account. Simple, right? So instead of doing that, why not take the short here, right? And if it squeezes you out, you take that losing trade, and then you think about what you've done, and then guess what? See if you have the other two trades left, like we said, right? Like building that discipline of maybe trading only 3 times a day. It works out for a lot of people. That's why I'm saying it, right? I'm not saying it just because, right, it's just something that I came up with. No, it's just because literally, as you guys know, we have so many people in Discord, and there's literally hundreds of people that message me saying that, dude, this thing works for me. So if that works for somebody, hundreds of other people, then it might work for you, right? What's the harm in trying? So if you only trade like 3 times a day, right, take that loss, right, and think about, do you want to trade again? Or do you not want to waste those 3 trades? And you understand that, okay, it's right, the chopping hour time, right? There's no point in taking the same type of trades, because let's say, the other mentality of, let's say you're down $500 on this losing trade, right? And guess what? You're in this period. You're only going to get maybe $200 worth of trade in this period. But the issue is, right, because you think that, let's say you take the perfect bottom right here from the 436, then the stock pushes all the way up to 442. And guess what? You're up $200. Do you think, honestly, your brain would want you to get out with that $200 like win and still be down on the day? Or do you think you would probably want to hold, right, for longer, for it to push up toward maybe 446, 448? Right? To make that money that you lost back. So, a lot of things that kind of play against traders, in trading, but still, right? So one of those things is, right, you could easily never get up to the 446 and end up, guess what, giving everything that you made back, right? And probably more so. Or what you can do is, kind of try to understand every trade as its own, right? Where you take this trade and you understand, this trade only has a limit of me making $200. So I'm going to take that $200 when I get it, not try to make $500 out of it, because that's bullshit. It's not going to happen. Right? Simple.
What I've learned is like the first couple hours of trading are usually the most versatile, unless like some big news comes out. Then I'm not really too concerned to get into any trades after 12.
Yeah, there's no, honestly, personally for me, like, that's why, right? Like, as much as I want to stay in the chat room and, help you guys, but like, if I don't look at the market myself, why would I teach you guys, to kind of look at that, honestly?
Yeah, understood.
Short basin.
Would you be able to open your studies and like show exactly what you used, what indicators you used, and why you use them?
It's a custom indicators, all of them. They're custom coded. There's nothing that's kind of right. The ones that are like that aren't custom, right? The ones like the WEWAP, right? The 50 and the 200 EMA. Those are the ones
Yeah.
that aren't. Everything else is custom coded. So
Yeah, I was looking into custom coding, and I don't know. I don't trust really
don't
anybody's
even,
on YouTube.
honestly, being honest with you, it's just another thing that kind of, is something that just kind of helps. But in general, if you're not able to control your discipline, if you're not able to control your, guess what?
Well, for
Right.
someone like me that is able to control the discipline, like I feel like those studies would definitely help my trading the same way with hotkeys. Like I look at you as a mentor,
Mhm.
and I mean, if you're using it, then it's something that I want to be using. I'm a profitable trader, and I'm good with my discipline. I just want to take my trading to the next
Next
level.
level. I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But man, honestly, you can spend a little bit time on it. I mean, think script isn't that hard, right? It's
yeah.
just all it is, it's just EMAs and, honestly, trends.
Okay.
How do you
Where did you find your scripts at?
I didn't find them, bro. Like I said, right? Coding them myself. Cause I'm always like, it's, kind of helps me out, right? Kind of
That's cap.
solving stuff.
You coded them yourself, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did
I mean,
you say that's a
I'm
cap?
a,
Why would it be a
I
cap,
said,
bro?
I said that's cap. Yeah, I don't know. You kind of stuttered, so I was like, nah, that's cap.
No, no,
But
bro. I've been doing this for so long. I've been using Thinkorswim for so long that it's just like literally back of my hand. You can
yeah,
tell me to code anything.
well,
That
what's up?
I've also
Would
had.
you sell your codes
I
or
don't sell them. I mean, some of the students that I teach, maybe I share them with, but the same thing, right? Like anybody that's trying to look for it like that, like honestly, it's a big no-no, right? Because something that's kind of, very close to me, and it's only certain people that, get access to it.
yeah? Okay. Well, maybe we can talk a little bit after. I don't know if you want to.
But I
But
promise you,
yeah,
bro, codes don't
I've
help
been in
as much as,
your
yeah, go
chats
ahead.
for a while. So
Yeah.
it's Javier. I don't know if you know me by name, but
No, no,
yeah.
no, bro. I know.
Okay.
Hey, bro, can you?
I think that that level of confidence that you talk about, man, it's it's just gonna come with time.
Yes,
you
sir.
know it's gonna take time. It's gonna take months. It's gonna take a lot of losing and a lot of winning trades for any of us to get that level of confidence where we
Mhm.
feel like, yeah, it's going red, it's going negative, and we know it's gonna bounce from the 50 to 100 v whatever it's gonna bounce from,
Mhm.
and we know it's gonna be a winning trade,
Yeah.
but only comes with time. I don't care whatever anybody can say. It's just
Yep.
gonna come with time, And
Yeah.
I come across a lot of traders where they've been trading for 5, 10 years, and sometimes there's some days where they lack that confidence.
Yep.
Sometimes you don't feel the same way. You can be the best trader in the world, but there's gonna be that day where you don't feel 100%,
I
and you're
wasn't
gonna
feeling it
doubt
Thursday,
about
man.
it.
Friday,
Of
Thursday.
course,
Same
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
man. You always have those days. Like once you, like, let's say, all of our longs, all of our stuff worked out Thursday, but the fact that they did it in the first minute just kind of took me off guard where I wasn't ready. And that's it. Simple. So if I wasn't confident after that going into all of those trades, why would I go in? Right? The same situation,
Absolutely.
right? So
It's James here. One thing to note about scripts is scripts won't teach you how to trade. Scripts are just one other piece of information. So the way I think about it is, if you're driving, a script is like a side view mirror. It will give you a small piece of information for driving, but it will never teach you how to drive. So the scary thing about scripts you got to be careful about is, if you're buying scripts online or making your own scripts, you can't follow them 100% to make a trade, because you will always lose money.
because
you
you're
can use
not
it for a little bit of information.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys think like I'm a complete beginner trader, which that's not the case at all. That's why, like, obviously I
yeah.
know that. I just know
I
that it
got
will
you.
help me take my trading to the next level. That's the only reason why I'm asking.
No,
So,
of course.
not to
No.
solely rely on them or anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but that's he's perfectly right with it. Like, man, James, he's saying that exact same thing that, we always talk about, man. If you literally go back to our webinar from day one, we talked about it, right? Dude, bots, all of this bullshit that, that they're telling you, dude, they don't work, honestly, at the end of the day, because it's not the bot. They're good. Bots work. Technically, every script works. It's not the script. It's you as a person that can't control themselves, right? If you follow them, like, let's say, you keep on buying and selling and keep on buying, selling. As a human, we always have that decency of, right, trying to improve, where we try to pick the tops and we try to pick the bottom, that sometimes you're going to actually be long here and you're going to try to pick the top and you're going to end up taking profits too early. And then the stock's going to keep on ripping and it's going to make you chase all the way at the top and it's going to make you lose money. And then it's going to, then it just goes downhill from there. And then also the fact that you're not a computer, and the fact where you're not like able to, guess what? Go in so quickly and get out so quickly if you're wrong. And, also kind of understanding all of that emotional factor of trading, right? Because you're playing with the real money. It's not, you're not playing with, not real money, because to computer, money doesn't really have any value except numbers, right? That's why a lot of people like that do really good in trading, where, if they're built like they just care about number and they understand data, right? Hence the name of data driven trading. Why I named it like that, it literally is kind of big thing, right?
yeah, understood.
What's good? Volume for large caps. I mean, large caps, man, a lot of these, Apple was literally doing what, 20 some million, 100 million plus, I think. Um, Apple used to do like, I think it was like, I'm not gonna lie, Apple used to do like 15 million, or was it like 8 million or something, literally like a year and a half ago. Now it's doing like 100 million plus sometimes. Insane. And then the
Wow.
same thing, right, guys? A lot of people also, right, like try to go into options because they're trying to, be where, right, like trying to make, just because like in the same situation of, right, guys, like they're saying that, oh, just because I do it, I trade options, that they should be trading options. Well, trading options can take your trading to the next level, but at the same time, you have to understand that, guess what? Options have that crazy risk as well, right? And then if it takes you, maybe a year or 2 years to kind of move away from stocks to options, it's not a bad thing, because in that time, options are only going to improve. They're only going to get better, right? But if you can learn how to trade charts and stocks first, equity wise, it's going to be easier. And it's going to kind of help you understand the whole aspect of, right, the volume, right, where the resistant levels are, and where, because you're just going to have enough liquidity to kind of go in really quickly and get out. Where with the option, dude, you're not going to have that. You guys are going to take very, very bad losses in the beginning then. And then finally start to learn how to properly kind of, go in and out. So if you want to do that, right off the bat, I don't think it's a good idea, because you already have a small capital to work with. Anybody that's new in trading doesn't have unlimited money unless they're literally the Fed. So
So I've noticed you specifically, like when you go about talking in these videos and these Zoom calls, you target like the beginner trader. You say a lot of like
I mean,
basic.
it's not even targeting the beginner trader, bro. Like, what do we talk about, after this? Like, if you tell me a topic, we'll talk about it. The only
That's
thing
the thing.
is, like, that's the questions that you would get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do see that a lot of people are not talking. A lot of people are just asking very basic questions in the chat.
Yeah, and that's why, I even, started doing where it's like sometimes, we're doing the webinars a little bit, because like it's always good to kind of have the community where, where you guys have opportunity of asking me questions and stuff. That's the only reason we do it every week, and probably gonna keep on doing it, right? Every
Yeah,
week I'll be here. Like it's not a big deal for me, right? To take out an hour out of my time and just, be on the computer. I mean, because at the end of the day, right? Like you learn, right, from every person, right? Every person can teach you something new. So, uh, that's a big aspect of it too. And then also, right, it's just everybody's got a passion, right? Like, let's say if you're looking at a stock, right, for the long term, and I can, learn about it from you, and then guess what? It's not a bad
yeah,
idea for me to make money from it, right?
yeah. I just really want to know a lot more about like the strategies you use. Like you said, for one, the hotkeys. I didn't know that you used hotkeys to trade. That opened my eyes a little bit. Um,
Which just, because it's the same thing, man. Like knowledge, right? A lot of people didn't even know I use active trader to trade options. They didn't get they didn't understand that how was I in and out so quickly in trades when it literally takes me a minute to set up these active trader windows and literally trade. And people don't realize that because it's just knowledge at the end of the day, right?
exactly.
It really is.
And
It,
those are things that you've learned over the years that help you
yeah,
be a more
exactly.
efficient and fast trader and
Yeah.
execute orders quicker. So those are like the things that I'm trying to like pick your brain for, like
Yeah.
really you're a mentor. Obviously, you're very good at what you do, and I appreciate you even being here and giving us the time of day, because a lot of traders don't really show, anything. They keep it to themselves. So
Yeah, man. I mean, the only thing is, right, like being honest with you, right? Like 100% honest. The person that's gonna do it is gonna do it, right? Like, right? Like
yeah,
even if I don't teach you this thing, somebody else will, right?
yes,
Somebody
yes,
else will. And then at the end of the day, right, you'll probably end up still doing, right? Like if you're really gonna work hard at it, right, you're still gonna become one of the best traders, right, out there. So, you know, either you learn it from me or you learn it from the other person. It doesn't really matter. And then guess what? I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Half the people that I teach this stuff to, guess what? Probably don't even remember it the next week, and they don't care about trading like that. And guess what? They end up changing in the same mentality of right. Like, guess what, man? Right? You can go to college for 4 years and spend all of that time try to make 50, 60, 80 grand a year, right? But then if you're not a millionaire by week one in trading, it's not real. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's the mentality. So I love using that mentality because it's so true. It's literally is. I've seen so many people do that where they're like, okay, I'm in here to make $1 million in the 1 week, dude. It's not gonna happen, dude. Just go take your bag and go keep on doing what you're doing because it's not gonna happen. You're being unrealistic. And if that kind of is what it takes to stay, like
Yes,
if you're
I
happy
agree.
with that,
There
you're happy, right?
there are people that are like that, but then there are people that are also, they work
Of
no
course.
matter what. So
Exactly. And then there's people that, right, guess what? I teach them on one thing and then guess what? They go home and they literally, somebody, let's say, last week I talked about on demand and there's probably somebody that was probably spending 20 hours on demand last week, right?
yep, yes, sir.
And that's the same situation of, right? That's why not everybody gets the same results. That's the reason why not everybody is built like the same, right? So everybody has their own things.
So what are the first couple things you look at when you get up in the morning and open up the charts? Because like I'm assuming you open up the charts around like seven. Oh no, you're
Yeah.
an hour later where you're at. I think you start trading around 9:30 or 8:30.
What was that? My bad.
Do
Sorry,
you
I was
start
reading
trade?
the chat. Dude, technically Eastern time, I usually kind of, get on the charts at like 7, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah, I
Eastern
was just
time, 7.
wondering like what are the first couple things that you look for?
Honestly, just looking at SPY, one thing, main thing, right, is kind of looking at the futures and seeing what the world is doing, right? Looking at maybe gold futures, looking at, some of the world in general, right? Like some of the news that's been out sometimes. And then also, right, main focus usually is on the SPY and the SPY futures, right? The ES, and kind of understanding what the market's doing today and how it can impact all the other stocks that we're trading.
Okay. Yeah, that's similar to exactly what I do. So
You look up articles for the news, like what articles or like what website you usually use? Market Watch or
Oh, to me, bro, I mean, honestly, man, like from what you guys, I mean, if you look at the chat, honestly, it's literally we look at the same stocks every day, but
yeah,
mostly it really honestly does depend on, right? Like I have my own scanners as well, where you know what I mean? Like I built on Thinkorswim that,
yeah,
of course, that kind of tell you, certain gap ups and certain strategies like that that kind of tell you a little bit more about that. So, it's a lot of stuff too. I mean, it really honestly like mostly I would say looking at the same type of stocks, right? Like you're always looking at Zoom, you're always looking at Tesla, you're always looking at Roku, you're always looking at some of these momentum players, right? That move on the day, right? You're always looking at Amazon, you're always looking at like Facebook in general, because these are big market makers that kind of move the market. But then let's say if Peton has earnings, right, we're going to look at Peton, right? Let's say UL has earnings, we're going to look at UL, right? Like if Nvidia has earnings, we're going to look at Nvidia, right? And then of course if there's news about Nvidia, right, and we're going to look at Nvidia, right, and all of that stuff. So um
So, yeah, I feel like there's some stuff that, yeah, you don't want to tell because, I mean, you want to keep a secret. But I was just thinking, like, there's only 50 people in here, 49 people in here that really are invested in this. And I was just wondering if you could maybe give some insight that might really help us.
Um, insight. I would say, I mean, being honest, like if I really give you that insight right now, like I'm gonna give you guys the insight, but I don't know how you would take that insight because, at the end of the day, some of you guys probably won't believe me when I tell you that the
I mean,
biggest
we'll just take
insight,
it how you say it and
yeah,
however we interpret it.
biggest
So,
biggest insight that you can kind of do in trading, honestly, is simply being disciplined, honestly. If you're able to kind of be disciplined about, first of all, waking up in the morning, right? Having the time to go over some of the charts that, or the stocks that you're going to be trading on the day, and then also sticking to a certain strategy because there's 50 strategies out there, man. There's 100 millions of strategies out there. If you keep bouncing back and forth from, each one, how are you going to get good at one, right?
yeah.
But then the other insight, right, like the main insight is always being disciplined, right? Like the three trade type of thing that we talked about, right? Being able to take those three trades, and then if you're losing, if you're winning, does not matter, man. Shut that computer down, or just walk away for a little bit, come back, and understanding that you're not going to touch your computer after that. That's the biggest insight that I can give you, because I'm not going to lie to you, I lost a lot of money not following that.
Yeah.
And to you guys, I know it's not like some magical thing that if honestly trading had something like that where it was like, hey guys, right? Guess what, dude? Look at this thing, and somehow magically this is gonna do this. This is gonna do every trade that I take, I'll tell you that right now has a chance of it losing and then has a chance of it winning, right? So the thing is, there isn't like I can't just be like, yo, look at Zoom tomorrow. Guess what? It's gonna go up. Everybody going long 1 million shares. You guys can, and Zoom can do that, and you guys all can make money. But the same issue is right. It cannot happen, right? Zoom can have that crazy news come out where it just drops. Guess what? You guys are broke now. And that's the big reason we don't do shadow trading, because shadow trading is bad as well, right?
Yeah, discipline. I mean, for me at least, discipline is a given. I have that already when I trade. I'm, very disciplined when I trade. But what I was saying with like some of your tips is because like I've seen, for example, like when you're trading Zoom, the how you would predict Zoom will go up or down is if you have your trend line set and pre-market, if it breaks your trend line down, then you're already looking for puts right when the market opens. You're already looking for, okay, if it doesn't hold this level, if it breaks
Yeah.
this level, I'm getting a put. See, like that's a strategic
Yeah. So you know
way
how
of
you do
looking at
that,
it.
bro?
That I'm sorry, what happened?
Oh, no. I was saying, you know how you predict that and how you be that confident in it?
Yes.
You're really not
How?
gonna like me, but literally is on demand the first 30 minutes of the market open and the past like, so what you do is, right, you start up at 9:30, right? So let's say, right, like let's say, tomorrow you start watching the market, half an hour goes by, an hour goes by, and you don't see anything. And now you have another 2 hours, right? there's two things that you can choose from, man. Either, right, go move on with your day, have a coffee, have chill, do whatever you want. Or what you can do is you can go on demand, right, and watch the first 30 minutes of, guess what? Maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe a year ago, right? Of the same stock, right? Now, what that's going to do is that's going to, kind of help you in the situation where if you draw these trend lines out, right? Let's say you got these trend lines drawn from the past day and the previous days, and you watch how the stock reacts, right? Once it opens, right, to those trend lines, and how it reacts to your EMAs, how it reacts to, right, basically breaking out on Friday or Monday, or, what kind of day it is, and, what kind of trade that you took on it, right? A lot of work. Yeah, it's literally is a lot of work. But then, of course, you have to go through that work. But if you can do that, watch 4 days worth of data. Dude, I promise you that's going to help you big time if you watch even 4 extra days worth of data every week. That's almost, right, like 30 days worth of data, 28,
Yeah.
still.
Since I've noticed that that's how you predict, whether or not it's going to be a
It's
green day
patterns,
or a
man.
red.
Keep on
Yeah,
repeating literally
that
every day.
I have implemented that. I have started doing that. I have started, looking at pre-markets and using on-demand trading, marking trend lines of previous days and even, weeks behind.
Mhm.
So that has helped me in predicting whether it was going to be a green day or a red day. It hasn't worked out, in my favor always, but it has helped.
But
So
that's because, right, like the same situation, you can't get everything 100% the first time you do it, right? It's all it is just like making it better every time, right? Like let's say if you were able to make, like let's say you if you were able to predict that Zoom would go to, 424s this one time. Next time, because that, last time Zoom did this, it ripped up a lot higher. So this time I'm gonna predict 430s. Well, guess what? Now you got twice as better trade than you could have gotten. And guess what? Next time you get to the 438s, then you go near the 442s until you're able to pick the top, right? But that's not going to happen in one day, because if that would have happened in one day, guess what? Then everybody's a millionaire, right, dude? That's the situation. You still got to put in all of that work, but it's just better to put that work in when you're at home and you're literally drinking coffee, right? And don't have to worry about kind of going into work and having that, right, boss or, right, tell you what to do and, right, what not to do. Does that
I-
make sense?
yes,
uh,
yes.
if a trade is going in the direction that you wanted and it's at the peak, do you always wait for the retrace or you jump in?
Usually, like, let's say if I think, like, let's say my target will be for, somehow I knew the top here and I knew, Zoom would kind of top out at 428. You mean something like that? Like, let's say, I'm in here. Do I wait for it to kind of come back down
Like, yeah, when the day
to
starts,
exit, or do I just dump my contracts up at the top?
no, in the beginning of the day, like the breakout, uh,
Mhm.
you're in the second or third minute, and it's
Yeah.
going.
Okay. I got you. So that, okay, so all right, my bad. I kind of interrupted you a little bit, but I wanted to let you talk there for, but right, honestly saying, literally, it's very hard to kind of explain that. But usually every candle kind of gives you the insight of the next candle. So because I'm very heavy into watching the 5 minute chart, because it gives you the better picture for technically the day and what the stock will do for the next, right, like couple of, like next half an hour or so, because these patterns keep on repeating and keep on doing the same thing again and again and again, and all of that data kind of goes in. Like even here, let's say I took that short, which we did, right? Guess what? It was just so easy for me to take this short because I already knew that if this candle breaks low over here, it's going to go all the way down to the 390s. So I don't really wait for a retrace all the time. It's just, you know, you just already know, like you have that gut feeling of knowing that either it's going to come back down or either it's not. So like you already know that the stock will probably break out of here and then it'll come back. And then there's some days where it'll just break out and then it'll just continue going higher, right? Like do you, like does that make sense if I understand what I'm saying? Like here, like on a day like here, you can't wait for a retrace because it's never going to come down, right? But on a trade like this where guess what? Like you're short here, but then you can kind of let this thing go back up to the $400 mark, right? Like because let's say, you let Zoom open up, it goes all the way up to 402, then goes all the way back down to, 396. On a day like this, you can wait for Zoom to go back up to the 200 EMA, retrace, and you can short it here, which is a better shorting price than here, right? But on a move like this, where the stock kind of like rips like this, you can't really wait for a retrace because it's never going to come back down to 200 EMA. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. It's like you already know what's going on. The same thing going back to like every trade that you take, you should already know what's going on, honestly. And that's why the studying comes in, right? That's why a lot of things, right? Like learning from somebody, like the teaching aspect of trading in general, it's always good to like have somebody that's kind of teaching you, because it's going to eliminate a lot of those problems where you kind of already need to know what's going on, right? Like in the next 5 to 10 minutes of trading, you can't really kind of go in there and just risk manage, right? Because that's only a one pillar, right? If the thing needs like five pillars, if the let's say uh, boardwalk needs like five pillars to stand up, but it only has one, do you think it's going to stay up very long? Not really. Probably going to crash, and maybe you're going to blow up your account maybe one day, or 2 days later. But if it has even three out of the five, it can still manage until you're able to put the other pillar in and you can put the other one in. So that's how, right? You have to have all of these things working together, like the risk management, right? Understanding where the stock is going. That's why you need to understand the charts, right? That's why very heavily, the only thing I try to teach people is charts, right? If you know how to read charts and you know where the stock is heading, that's all you need. Doesn't matter what you can make money with. You can sell this data to somebody. You can go to your next door neighbor and be like, dude, I know this stock will go from 420s to 440s. I'll just tell you that right now and just watch it. And guess what? The next time you don't have to like be like, yo, give me money this time. But all you have to do is give him a demo, right? That guy's gonna be like, holy shit, this guy knows what he's talking about. And guess what? Next time he's gonna come to you, he's gonna be like, dude, how'd you do that? Right? Do you have any of those trades like that? Yeah, I do. So then he can pay you. So technically you can make money if you know which way the stock is going. So focus on charts. Don't focus on options. Don't focus on futures. Don't focus on a lot of these other things. Just understand that, if you're able to read the charts properly, if you're able to kind of identify some of these patterns that we talk about, right, in the past webinars, right, and all of the, free educational stuff too that we talk about, if you're able to identify those and you're able to kind of understand where the chart's heading, you'll make money, right? Doesn't matter how you make money, but you can and you will make money because you'll find a way. But if you don't even know where the stock is heading and you're just trying to risk manage, right? You're not going to make money.
So what are the top five things you look for to know where the stock's heading, Like the EMA line, 200 EMA line.
Yeah.
Um
So
yeah.
you want to look at the support, the resistance, first main one. The second one, you want to look at the EMAs. You want to see where the stock bounces, right? How strong the stock is, which then again, right? The same thing, going back on demand and watching the stock play out every day, right? Having to understand what the stock moves like, right? Just like your pet dog. Like if you have a pet dog, you'll probably know how the dog behaves every day-to-day basis after, having it for 2 years. So that's the situation, right? Like understanding how the stock behaves. Usually a lot of stocks, right? Like this stock will behave something like this, where Roku usually has a little bit lower volume than Zoom. It usually, if it rips up, it'll just continue ripping and won't pull back. Where Zoom sometimes will pull back, give you the V-shaped reversal, right? If we go back here, look, how many times does Zoom give us a V-shaped reversal? One V-shaped reversal, two V-shaped reversal, kind of, right? Almost. I mean, kind of a third one too, right there, but still, right? Like that's kind of a V-shaped reversal. But look, a fourth V-shaped reversal, and this is only 1 week, dude. Look, a freaking four. I mean, this is the fourth one. Yeah, like almost every day it has done a V-shaped reversal. It's just the only this day is when it wasn't able to kind of get above the highs, but almost every other time it was able to kind of get near the highs, but at least do a V-shaped reversal. So you have to understand what the stock kind of behaves like,
Can you
which
pull up
you
Roku
can't.
chart, please?
What?
Can you pull up Roku chart, please? Let's just see. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. It just
You see
keeps
what I'm
running.
talking about?
Yeah, it just keeps running. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually like when it gets like the momentum, it usually will keep running. Like some of these stocks, right? Like not every time. Like today, it's kind of like now it's kind of pulling back, but it's the same type of pattern. Look, this stock has the same type of pattern every day. Look, literally, look, after the first 5 minute candle or the second or the third 5 minute candle, it pulls back, right? Retraces almost to the, you know, open price and then rips up. It's done it twice there. Look, almost done it, the third time kind of here. So like it's kind of understanding how the stock reacts. Look, right here too, rips up, comes back down, retraces, and then rips up again. So you have to understand what the stock behaves like. But right, the only way to do that is you kind of going back on demand and watching, you know, what the stock does, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a big aspect too. But right, like every stock has its own different type of personality that kind of separates it. That's it.
Hey, Walter, do you recommend a difference between in on demand, you get to watch it live, moving up and down,
Mhm.
versus going back in the chart and you can kind of go candle by candle,
I think
right?
honestly, it's any type of data knowledge that you kind of get about charts is good. Doesn't matter if you do it on demand or charts. But I think with on demand, even though it's a little bit more work, I think it's probably worth it in order for you to kind of get your nerves in control, because a lot of people have that right option where like once they get into the trade, they're like they start shaking. Even if they're not risking crazy amount of money, they still have that little anxiety, right? So in order to fix that, you're gonna kind of watch stocks move in real time, or you're gonna watch them move on demand, right? So many times that it kind of builds that confidence of, right, I take this trade, it's just a trade, right? It's either gonna lose or it's either gonna win. That's it.
Yeah, I think that just boils down to the person because
Yeah.
some people are just like very, nervous entering a trade, even if it's a small amount of money that they're risking. I mean, me personally, I'm not like that. I've been down 30,000 one time
Yeah.
and didn't even budge. So I'm just
Okay.
not like that as a person.
Which is good. I mean, but at the same time, hopefully you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay.
That doesn't happen often. That was a one-time thing when I really started first trading. But
Hey, what's up, bro, dog? You wanna say something, bro? Do you
Uh,
wanna say it? Like you can unmute yourself.
oh, word. Whatchamacallit? I just want to say something real quick. What I know for like this is like for the beginners and newbie. I'm don't get me wrong, I'm still a beginner, but I want to say
Yeah.
I'm an advanced beginner, I guess you could say. Whatchamacallit? So the one thing I noticed that really helped me, and like me and Zero talked about it, Zero Sum,
Mm-hmm.
um, is that we were chasing just every play possible, just getting any money, which is not bad, but it was just more risk to it. And what I realized was, what helped me personally was when I sat down, I was like, all right, let me pick a couple stocks that really move, and I
Yep.
picked like seven. I picked like, well, Neo, you guys know Neo's my baby. Neo, Tesla, Nvidia, BA, Roku,
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, what else do we got? Apple, and I don't even know. So I picked like those stocks, and I just back test them. I watch them, I look at them, and I know them like the back of my hand. So when I go into trading, like when I'm from like around like 8:30 and I see any patterns like 9:30, like during the pre-market, like the Neo play we had, I just focus on those main stocks because I know them, you know.
Yeah.
And like when you watch it, like throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout the weeks, like you get to know the stock. Like it's
Exactly.
weird to say, but like you really just notice stuff. Like with Neo,
Yeah, bro.
I noticed that Neo loves forming inverse head and shoulders. Like it always does it. It regardless of the
You
day.
already know, like usually, like it probably has happened where you were
Yeah.
able to pick the top and the bottom of the stock
Yeah.
perfectly too.
Yeah.
But it's just like sometimes you don't have the nerve of clicking the button. But all it is you see that a couple more times. It's just you're
Yeah.
gonna get it. That's it.
Yeah. That's like when you just start, like you don't even have to start trading them. Just get used to it,
Exactly.
watch the patterns. Be like, oh, this is a bull flag. Let's see if it breaks. Or just like say it in your head and like, all right, I'm gonna buy 2 contracts here, but don't actually go in with it.
Yep.
Just watch it. Like your money's there. Money's always there to be made. It's the patience. You need to have your patience first, and then when you're comfortable, then go for it. When you start realizing that, okay, like I got this, like that's it.
Yeah, and literally hence the reason why I, literally my biggest literally trades, right? Tesla,
Yeah.
Zoom, Roku, right?
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
I'd say like 80%, or like I wouldn't say 80%, but like 70% of my money came from like literally like, Tesla and Roku and Zoom. And
Yeah.
then probably 90% or 85% came from Tesla, Zoom, Roku, and Amazon. You know what I mean? And BA, right? Like literally it's barely right. I trade these NBACs and some of these big poppers and all of that stuff, but
Yeah.
zero sum. I don't have a dog, bro. I know, right? It probably would, but I like dog. I mean, dogs are all right, but still. But he's right, right? Like raw dog, this, bro, that name is throwing me off, but
I'm
it's all
sorry.
it's all good. But he's right.
You know the vibes,
WSJ's
bro.
new
You know the
WS,
vibes, Wall Street.
What was that?
his new darling is Amazon.
Yeah, I know, right? It is. It's got nice contract prices, so I mess with it. It's nice.
I think in the last month and a half, you'll probably make more money on Amazon than you made on Tesla and BA and Roku.
But the thing is, right, with Amazon, the only issue with Amazon is when Tesla was doing its thing, like when Tesla was popping and it was at 2000, it literally had insane amount of volume. It would still have $30 million share plus volume, or it would have at least 5, 6, 7 million, right? Amazon would still do that, but Amazon still has sometimes these, very low volume days where it's kind of like choppy and it has these little, how should I say, gaps on the 1 minute, which I don't like. It's not as liquid as I would like it to be, as Zoom and Tesla. That's the big reason why Amazon's not my favorite, but it's doing good, right? Like right now, because with my size, I'm able to kind of squeeze out, nice little profit. So I like it, not gonna lie. But other than that, the only thing I don't like about it is that it's sometimes, low liquid. Uh,
I started looking at Trade Desk. Trade Desk. I think recently is getting a lot of volume, but the bid and ask price is like $4 difference.
yeah, JR, we'll definitely, yeah. Let's talk after this, bro. What's up? What do you
Yeah,
want to talk about?
very much, man. Thank you for your time. Let me know. Either call me back or when the call is done, or we'll wait a
Yeah,
little.
you can just stay, man, after the call is done, or else,
Thank you so much.
or just give me a.
I'll be here.
Okay.
In how many minutes do you decide that a stock is choppy and you just move on with something else?
Honestly, it literally is in the first like 3, 4 minutes, because been watching stocks for so long that it's just kind of comes to you. It literally is like it. Once you're able to see these stocks kind of be indecisive, then you know that it's choppy. And then usually, what happens is because you're able to kind of see that on the smaller time frames, and then you're able to kind of see that on a bigger time frame, which kind of tells you probably do it for the whole day, and then you just stop. So like I would say the first like 5 minutes kind of give you an idea of, sometimes even pre-market gives you an idea, man, of usually if the market's pretty choppy and sideways, that most likely means that a lot of stocks will be choppy and sideways, right? Because usually when the market's choppy, is the chop market's undecisive and it's just algos fighting it out. And if that's going on with the market, that basically means stocks are indecisive, right? Because if the stocks are ripping, then the market has no issue of staying down. Then the market should be ripping, kind of, right? But sometimes you get those little days where it's like, different and all of that stuff. But um wait, I'm trying to read the comments, guys. Sorry about that. How many contracts am I trading with, man? You don't want to know, bro. Zero sum. It's all good, man. We'll keep it a secret. Very premium. Apple. Yeah, well, Apple and SPY are very liquid, yes. But the issue with Apple and SPY is that they move 30 cents at a time. You know what I mean? Like, I would have to buy literally 200 contracts, which kind of test my psychology in the fact where if I trade 200 contracts with Apple, then I have to trade 80 contracts with like Tesla. I can't trade 200 contracts with Tesla because so like that's why I try to keep it unified, right? Like I try to trade the same type of stock. Like on Roku, sometimes we pick the perfect move and we see this thing rip from, 45 like $10, $15, and we end up only making like 20, 30, 40 grand on it. But then if that same move would have happened on Tesla, we would have made, you know, maybe 60, 70, 80, 90. But the issue is you still got to keep it unified where you don't want your psychology to be like where, dude, one day you're trading 500 contracts and the other day you're trading 50 contracts. Like it, to me personally, that really doesn't kind of make sense. And that's how I'm able to do so good on Amazon because, right, me going from Amazon, like from Tesla to Amazon or even Roku to Amazon, it's not really crazy big of a deal because I just imagine that the stock is just making a bigger move, but they're kind of the same stock. That's why I stick with the same contract size. So I don't go like 50 contract size on Amazon and do 85 on Roku. Just try to keep them same, right?
I get that. Would you be able to show us your watch list and how you have it? What do you
Dude, my
look at
watch list
exactly?
literally goes like this, dude. Zoom, Apple, Roku, Tesla, Facebook, Apple, Spy, and whatever pops up on the day, honestly. That's my watch list. That's why I don't do the watch list bullshit like a lot of these chat rooms do, because there's literally honestly no point of doing it because literally if you're watching the same thing every day, I'm probably gonna make a watch list channel and just be like, this is the watch list for every day. Or
But you don't
probably,
have
or
like a
maybe, or
specific.
maybe it'll help, right? A little bit. Maybe I'll just do it. Maybe we'll make a watch list, right? Chat room where, in the morning when I'm done reviewing my stocks and I'm about to jump on the pre-market live, you guys kind of know already what we're looking at. Yeah? How's that?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
That'd be cool, man.
Makes sense. Yeah. Notice reduces kind of. Who was I don't get it. I don't get what's going on in the chat right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, Diego. Yeah, less liquidity and less spread, and I mean more spread and all of that stuff. So about that. I have no clue what that is, dude, because I've seen people trade 500 contracts at a time, and literally they have literally no problem, and they're making tons of money, tons of money. So
So when you use your hotkeys to buy in, how many contracts does it buy you in? Just 100 or 50 or whatever you have it set on your active trader or what?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was reading the comments. My bad. What's up?
I said when you use your hotkeys to
Uh-huh.
buy in, does it automatically buy you in at 100 shares or do you like
No. So
adjust
you
it
get
on
it.
your active
So
trader?
you set up
That's
right, like
what you said right there.
so you set up, your contract sizing, right?
Okay.
This is because we're in the chart section, but my other, sections are set up a little bit better where you can kind of fix the, kind of your main contract sizes too, right? What you go up with and all of that. So it's better to kind of have, a little bit lower where, once you go into, let's say, the contracts, look, see, you can easily click on 10, 20 and just, go from there. And you got to go in quickly and then you can just kind of buy and do all of that stuff.
Okay. I'm not familiar with the chart with this chart that you're looking at. That's just for options or like
That's the option chart. Yeah, that's it. This is a
okay.
Zoom 27 417 50 calls.
Okay.
And look, right, guys, these options are insane. I mean, some of these it's really kind of crazy to think about. Look, almost 100% gain, right? Like literally from 930s all the way up to 33. Uh, but if you really look at honestly, like some of the other ones probably better. Somebody else have contracts that probably did crazy on Zoom yesterday, or I mean Friday.
Bro, try the 440 contract.
How do I do that, bro? 440.
So if you, yeah, maybe change that
Just
to
change the
440.
number in the force.
Yeah, that's
I
one.
think you have 417. Change that to 440.
I think that was like 270 or 300% jump.
Wait a second.
After the C should be the price.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Give me one.
I get the same thing with TOS. It just looks funny when you're trying to type it in, like the cursor's not in the right place.
Yeah, right. No, it's just right now. It's because because I'm only using one, literally a laptop. That's it. So I don't have my actual setup. That's why it's not able to do it properly. But these actually did all right. I mean, they were only what? Weeklies 27. Oh, that's why, because they're next week's, right? That's why. They're not last week's. If you pull up the last week ones, they're probably insane.
You gotta change it to 20.
Give me 1 second. Yeah. Right here. Hopefully. There we go. These ones, they went from yeah, they're 600% almost. That's insane.
Yeah, it went from $1.50 to $7.
Yeah. 500 plus percent. Insane.
And how long? That was in a day, right?
30 minutes, not even, dude.
Wow, that's insane.
That's insane to think about, right? Like having to be like even the other day, look, went from $1 to 600. So that's the thing with options, man. You can make these 600% returns, which Apple probably done in like 10 years. So it probably took Apple to do 10 years worth of, but you can't have a billion, like that's the situation. Like you can't have a billion shares or a billion contracts of, Apple, but still, or this contract. But, for short term and, you can get these crazy returns nicely.
That's crazy.
Bro, one of the things I noticed is when I'm picking contracts, either put or call, I think even that contracts tells you the direction. So let's say if I'm
Yep.
selecting a put for Zoom at 420, you would see the 410 volume just increase and the 400 volume just increase. So that, I've been tracking that and gives you an idea that, more
That
people
kind
are
of, yep.
buying because they're expecting the price to go down even further.
Yeah, I've seen that. And that's the thing too, right? Like even picking contracts, guys, like let's say, the price right now for Zoom is 523s. So what you usually want to do is you want to pick the next whole number of contracts, right? You don't want to pick the 523s. I used to do that, but then, really like sometimes you would get crazy, like illiquid contracts. So to fix that, what you would do is you would look at the 520s and then the 525s. So if you wanted the calls, you would look at the 525 calls. And if you want the puts, you would look at the 520s. Or you would look at the 530 calls for Zoom or for NVIDIA, and you would look at the 520 puts. So when you're setting up in the beginning, right, just like it's in the pre-market section, right, like the pre-market uh, the pre-market live lesson section, we've uploaded the video of the setup for the active trader and everything, right? When you're picking contracts, you should be picking these ones. You should be picking the whole number. I don't know if I talked about it in there, but the whole numbers are the ones that you should be picking, like the 520s and the 530s. So 520 puts and then the 530 calls is what you should be picking to kind of use them, because they would have usually most of the liquid volume usually. So that's that. But that's what we're going to end it at, guys, right? But anything else before I leave? Most likely, all of you guys have a nice weekend, right? Hopefully, you guys have a good week, right?
Thanks,
And
guys.
always,
Thank you for taking time out of your day, man. We appreciate that for sure.
Of course, man. Anytime, bro.
And happy Thanksgiving.
It's fun talking to you guys, right?
I'm gonna stay here, King.
Yeah, I appreciate
Appreciate
it,
it, bro. Thank you.
Of course, man. Anytime, guys. All right, guys. You guys have a
Still there,
nice
King?
weekend.
One thing real quick.
King, don't hang up.
What's up?
If I want one
JR.
thing, if I want to get in touch with you, what platform is the best? Instagram,
Discord.
Discord, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just message you right now. Thank you.
All right, King, I'm here. I'm gonna wait, all right?
JR, yeah, you can wait, bro. Let me all right, everybody's chilling here. So let me end the meeting and then I'll
right,
invite you real quick.
All right.
Yeah, man, I don't have too much time, but you know, you can
Okay.
ask. Yeah.
Quick, it's quick.
All right. Just message me on Discord where you are so I can send you the link for the next call.
Yeah, I'm a simple big bucks over there.